Alright guys, Satchgrubit here, and today I want to talk about Search and Destroy, because this has been a pretty big topic in the community over the last couple of days, is the issues within Search and Destroy and how they can potentially be resolved. Because right now, competitive Search and Destroy this is anecdotal I guess, but out of all the things in the game, I'm enjoying that the least out of anything. Blackout's great, multiplayer's great, but playing GBs on this game right now, even at 4v4, let alone 5v5, we'll talk about that in a bit, is for me the least enjoyable part of the game right now, and I think a lot of the pros are having a similar experience. I know that maybe a Beezy tweeted out that Black Ops 4 overall, 9 out of 10, competitive Search and Destroy is down there like a 3 and a 4. So there's clearly a lot of issues in the game right now, and I wanted to make a video talking about the issues. Of course, it's only been out like a week and a little bit more, so there's definitely scope for this to be fixed over time, but I really think that the biggest issue in the game is something that will not change. So I definitely have my problems and my concerns. Of course, your stance in the comments may be, you know, what's the point complaining it's only been out a week? But the way I see it, these concerns are not going to go away anytime soon, and I'll touch on the glitches first, which should be fixed, but there's a hell of a lot of them considering the game's just been released. There's also no GB integration or even league play yet, so it's looking like another slow year so far, and with it going 5v5, I thought Search and Destroy was the game mode with the most scope for improvement, but it doesn't seem to be the case this year. So, like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below, because I think I'll make some points that you guys may not have considered. So first of all, let's talk about the glitches. These are the things that should be able to be relatively easily fixed. This is a tweet longer from Kreza, like a EU Search and Destroy star. I think he went to Champs maybe. And these are his problems with the game. This is several days ago now. A couple of these I believe had been fixed. So this custom game's ending on round 7. That has finally been fixed, but a lot of these other problems are still in the game. The pre-game lobby glitching. Incredibly, there are no smokes in the game still. I think this is a point that I'll touch on a little bit, that Bevel's really brought into prominence. That smokes are going to be so important, especially with the current team stack nature of Search and Destroy. People will group up and hit a bomb site. Having a smoke to help with defending is going to be super important, and also having something like an EMP to potentially counter some of the specialist abilities would also be great, but for some reason they're not there, even though the smokes at least are in Blackout. Grip 2 on the ICR is currently pretty ridiculous, just literally zero recoil at all. I'm not sure if this glitch about dying in Search and Destroy and switching class while watching the kill cam still exists, but I know there is, I think, still a kill cam glitch where you can keep your score streaks even if you die, if you switch class. There's also a glitch, a really prominent one, where if you aim down sights at the wrong time near the start of a round, your class will actually change. I saw a clip yesterday on Reddit, someone ran into the upper deck on Summit, they had a Maddox out, they aimed down sights and it just turns into a sniper rifle. Crazy scenes, stuff that I've never seen before, and I have no idea how it's still in the game. Of course, there are some weapon balancing issues where the SMGs seem pretty not very viable right now, especially with the Maddox being incredibly good, but that's not really the topic of this video. Also, Silent Plant is not silent, Dead Silence is not silent, and Tac Mask doesn't even protect you from stuns, it only halves the duration. You get hit with a stun, it hits you for like 8 seconds or something ridiculous, and Tac Mask like halves that or something. Not what it's been in the past, and concussions I believe are still banned on GB right now. So in addition to all these glitches, this is a post on Reddit a few days ago covering similar kind of things, lobby breaking, black screen, there's some radar bug, and also a load of other issues. So there's definitely a lot of glitches in this game, more than I've really ever seen for launch in another Call of Duty title, and of course these can be fixed over time. There's also a glitch where the Ruin character, the guy with the grapple gun, he moves slower than other characters for some reason. When you jump with him, you lose your momentum in the air that you don't with other characters. So if you guys weren't aware of that, I recommend not using him in competitive or even in public matches until that might be fixed. Maybe it got fixed in yesterday's big update, but I didn't see anyone talking about it. So now I'm going to touch on the big point. I'm not sure if you guys have considered this, but this is the real reason why I think Search and Destroy in this game is kind of doomed. I don't want to be too pessimistic, but I don't think we're ever going to get a situation where spreading out is going to be a more effective strategy unless the maps we play on are very specific in that regard. Because right now, I don't know if you guys are watching much Search and Destroy that the pros play, but basically all the 5v5 tournaments are simply stacking up on sites. The offense will stack a site and try and run out. The defense will be forced to do so because it's super difficult to hold on against a multi-team push with only 1 or 2 guys at a site due to the high time to kill. That's what I'm going to talk about here. A lot of people say, well, you know, in CSGO, the defense, if they want to win a round, they'll spread out across the map, they'll play like cheeky off angles. The reason why that works is because you have these off angles and you have the potential to kill in almost like 1 or 2 bullets if you hit them in the head. This is super important. This can also be transferred to a Call of Duty setting into Ghosts. Ghost, I think most people would agree, was the best search and destroy we had in Call of Duty. Maybe you can say Black Ops 2, but Ghost certainly played superb for search and destroy. The offense had many options off the start. They could send 3 to one site, they could play a pick on the cross, they could have one guy go on a full flank, and the defense would almost never just rush one side of the map, because similar to CSGO, due to the super high time to kill, or at least the potential time to kill like you have in CSGO, and also in Ghosts you can kill really quickly, 3 or 4 bullets with basically any gun you're using. If you were to give up one bomb site on the defense, retaking is super difficult. Someone can play a cheeky little off angle and probably kill 2 guys as they run past, as long as they're shooting them in the back. Defense had to play very carefully, and if you were set up on a head glitch and 2 attacking players just ran out brain dead towards the site, you would almost be guaranteed those 2 kills. In other games with longer times to kill, that has not been the case, and Black Ops 4 it is certainly not the case, and I think it's a really big issue right now. Say you're playing a map like Slums. It's in a pretty awful search and destroy map in my opinion. It wasn't good back in Black Ops 2, and in a 5v5 setting with the high time to kill, it's definitely got worse. The situation right now, say you're on the defense, you managed to make it to the statue and are waiting for the people to come out. If this was Call of Duty Ghost and you had a Remington and 2 people decided to jump out at you, you would get both kills almost guaranteed. The first guy would die almost instantaneously, and the second guy should be a comfortable gunfight for you. However, in this game, the first guy either slides or he jumps out. It takes you 5 bullets to kill that guy. And if you hit him in the head, okay, maybe 4 bullets. But even with the ICR, 5 bullets, and if he's jumping, it might not be so easy to hit all those shots. By the time you kill him, the second guy has got into a good enough position to take you down, especially the fact that the ICR with Grip 2 has 0 recoil at all. It's super difficult to get multiple kills, because after your aim is dragged off target by the first guy, the second guy will just move into position and just mow your head off with basically 4 bullets, because with the ICR, if you hit even 1 bullet to the head, it kills in 4 shots instead of 5. So the problem is for the defense is that the offense can just send out one guy as effectively the bait, guarantee the trade onto the next person, and take over the bomb site. And that's forcing the defense right now on basically every map to stack up on a site. They can't afford to risk 2 players attacking a site when one can jump around the corner and the defender is going to get traded out. In something like Ghost or in CSGO, you can manage that because the first guy will die in the first bullet or 2, and then the second guy is kind of a 50-50 gunfight. Right now, you can guarantee a trade almost every time as long as you play it correctly, which means that the defense is forced to pretty much stack up and play a TDM Infinite Warfare style in order to prevent the attacking team taking over the bomb site almost every time. Beowulf talked about this on Twitter yesterday. If the best strategy on a map is to give up an entire bomb site every round, then the map should not be played in Search and Destroy. And I'm not going to lie, the majority of maps I've played on, this is the strategy, and I don't think that is the case that the maps play bad. I think the time to kill has a way bigger impact than a lot of these things do. So I'll talk about the specialist a little bit more in a second, but honestly, I don't think it matters really what you do to the specialist. With the time to kill as it is, I think Search and Destroy is not going to play well, and stim and body armor, if they continue to be allowed, does not help that at all. Let's say, for example, the first guy jumps out, you hit him 4 times, he gets behind cover, and the next guy peeks you. You go back to the other guy, you start shooting him a few times. The guy that's in cover has no business in any other Call of Duty game challenging you. The fact that he has jumped out first, baited and being tagged up means that he should have to suffer the consequences of being tagged up. In this game, hit the stim shot, within a second you're back to 120, soon to be 150 health. He can fly out round the corner again and take you down. It's just insane right now. You can peek without suffering any consequences at all. In Search and Destroy, you can have 2 people on opposing head glitches. One person tags the other guy down really low. In any other Call of Duty game, that means, okay, good. I've tagged him up, I now gain time, I gain space on the map that guy cannot re-peek me. But in this game, it doesn't matter. He can hit the stim shot, he just re-peeks the corner, kills you as you're trying to rush him from the head glitch. Especially because the sprint out time with the assault rifles is really slow. It means that you get tagged up, you hit the regen, you can re-peek again, and if he pushes you, you're going to win the gunfight, when in previous Call of Duties, he would probably be able to snap out and hit the final bullet he needed to. God, the health is my real concern. Now, another glitch I forgot to touch on, which isn't technically a glitch, but it's because I believe with Blackout, they have added a projectile system to the weapons in the game, which means that kill trading in Search and Destroy is now a possibility. I've seen it a few times, happened to TJ, happened to Zero, where the final kill of the game, both players kill each other and it awards both teams the round. Like, in my opinion, that's something that just shouldn't happen in Call of Duty. One team should win, and if both players die and the bomb hasn't been planted, then surely defense deserve the round win, and if the bomb has been planted, then offense deserve the round win. I think it should at least go one way or another, because what if it goes 5-5, you get a kill trade, then what happens? It goes 6-6, you replay the map? Jesus. So, as an additional point, this was what was brought up by Bevels. This will kind of start my discussion on the specialist side of things. He tweets out a twit longer here talking about very in-depth. I'll link this down in the description box below. We definitely need people at the top end of the community that are doing stuff like this. Really well written, and he makes his point very well, and I think it's a very good one. His problem is, and part of my problem as well, is that, okay, the specialist equipment right now in the game, you get it for free. The razor wire, for example, batteries, cluster grenade, which is just like a Semtex but way better, you get all that for free. However, if you want to put a frag grenade on, if you want to put a Semtex on, if you want to even put a stun grenade on, the 9-bang, for example, you get completely free. You have to pay 1 point to get a frag grenade, which builds up over time, just like something like the 9-bang does, but the character that has the 9-bang, he gets it for free. That's pretty ridiculous. One of the big problems that Bevels has here is that in Search and Destroy, your equipment will build up over time. Now, this creates an issue because in order to run an actual execute onto a site, or at least theoretically, because in my opinion, due to the high time to kill, an actual execute, especially if there's no smokes in play, which would be really cool to see, an execute style game, I don't think is going to happen that likely. But if it is, teams need their equipment to run an execute. In CSGO, the attacking team can have a smoke on every player. That's 5 smokes. They can have 2 flashbangs on every player, 10 flashbangs. They can have a Molotov on every player. They have so much equipment to be working with. In this game, you can only use 1 frag, 1 stun, etc, etc. Okay, it's okay, but you don't guarantee it every round. You have to wait for your frag grenade to build up over time, which is likely going to mean, as Bevels points out, that the offense will just play really slow and hold an angle and wait for their equipment to build up so they can throw it to try and attack a site. Now, I'm not sure exactly that's the way Search and Destroy is going to play out, but in theory, his idea is very good. It creates a very boring and less creative meta. So there is actually an option in the game, supposedly, that means you can get your equipment guaranteed at the start of every round, which I definitely think is something that needs to be happening in Search and Destroy. I quite like the rechargeable system in something like a respawn. I didn't really like it in World War II, how you could die, spawn up with a stun and a grenade again, and you almost got rewarded for dying because you got your grenade back. But in Search and Destroy, it's definitely something that needs to happen if we're going to see any strategy at all in play. So, next we're going to talk about specialists. This guy says, anyone else enjoying SnD much more without specialists? Zuma replies saying, everything is better without specialists. And, I kind of agree. I guess I'm an SnD fundamentalist to some extent. I kind of wish it was more just guns and utility to get yourself into the site. But maybe specialists can be pretty useful, especially maybe on the defense, using a Tempest or something like that to slow down a push into the site, or using a Seraph's Annihilator. And they do make for some really cool highlight plays. I talked about whether specialists should be viable and competitive several videos back now. But there is definitely some things which are kind of ridiculous in competitive play. Something like razor wire. You put it down, you can't even get into a site. The barricade with the guardian in front of it. Things like that. As long as they have a degree of a counter, I don't have too much of an issue with it. Like, if you can throw a grenade at the barbed wire and it explodes. If maybe you can throw 2 grenades at the microwave turret and it explodes. That's not too bad. But in the current state, when it takes a clip and a half to destroy barbed wire, it's frankly pretty ridiculous. The 9-bang is way too strong considering it's free. And I think a lot of people take the stance of, well, I can get away with just using the specialist weapons, like the ultimate abilities, but having all the other ones on the side that you get for free, like the cluster grenade, like the 9-bang, like the razor wire. Like, for example, Crash, he has the ability that can bump his teammates up 50 health. I talked about specialists a while ago, so I think I'll leave it there for this video. Those are my concerns with Search and Destroy. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. There's a lot of glitches, there's a lot of potential worries that I have, and even though it's early in the life cycle, I feel like something like Time to Kill, it's not going to get changed, is it? It's already set in stone. And I think that whatever is done about specialists, even if specialists are removed entirely, maybe removing specialists entirely does improve how the game flows and makes it slightly better to some extent. But I still feel like 5 stacks is what we're going to see basically all the time. The maps, from my experience, are not large enough really to compensate for the 5v5 setting, especially the old school ones like the Slums firing range. Those lot definitely not big enough. Hacienda may be good enough. Arsenal may be good enough. Icebreaker also has potential, even though the water in the middle of the map is pretty bad to play on. These maps need to be big if they're not just going to be fully team stacked sites. So, those are my concerns with Search and Destroy. I have even more concerns, I guess, with Respawn play, and we're well within the honeymoon phase. You're welcome to disagree with me, but I feel like given a few months, people will see this game actually play competitively for what it is. I think there's going to be a lot of negative sentiment towards the current title, but we'll have to see how things play out. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.